Now, I want to open the floor to any questions that you might have about your own running, your training that's going on right now. If you guys want some help with potentially setting up a schedule, I can give you some pointers on, things to focus on for this fall. We're in September now. So if there are things that you are hoping to do over the next couple months, I want to help you do them. So let's open this up to some questions. Let's see how you guys are doing with your training. I know that just a couple days ago, we did our traditional Sunday brag day, where we reflect on the week. We think about what worked really well for us, what we're proud of, what's just really clicking in our training. So I really enjoyed seeing a bunch of your comments on that and how well it's going for you. But it almost sounds like your training is just going so well right now that you don't need too much help. You guys are just on fire, on a roll right now. So I love to see that. But any other questions that you have, we can talk about big issues, we can talk about small issues. I can help you with your personal running, or just talk a little bit more generally about a big topic that you might be curious about. So let me know. I'm still so impressed with how many people have come to our Facebook Live today. This is great. Okay, so Johnny has a question. Johnny's having some knee pain recently, only a 2 out of 10, but getting better. I'm 5 weeks from my goal marathon virtual race, and I'm due to do 3 important long runs of 18 to 20 miles in the coming 3 weekends. Should I reduce my long run distance and take it easy to ensure I am not injured further? Well, Johnny, I'm pretty heartened by the fact that you are only experiencing knee pain at a 2 out of 10. And so that tells me that the pain isn't super serious, it's not very substantial. And I'm just curious, when you do go out for a shorter run, not necessarily a long run, let's just say like 6 to 8 miles, does that knee pain get worse and worse as you run? Or does it get better, say, after a mile or two of running and you're warmed up and you kind of get into a nice rhythm, and then that knee pain just subsides? I'm curious how that relationship with pain evolves over the course of a run. Now, Johnny, my typical guidance for something like this is if your knee pain gets better as you go on a run, if it's a fairly mild, dull, achy pain, it's not a sharp stabbing pain, and you don't have to alter your running form to accommodate that pain, then I don't think running is actually making your problem worse. You're probably just dealing with a little bit of a niggle, something that can be improved on with some strength training, maybe some extra sleep. It's probably a good idea to maybe reduce the intensity of your training. So cut back on the harder workouts, the faster workouts, and see how you do there. So you followed up with me, Johnny, and you said the pain stays about the same over the course of the run. So it's only a 2 out of 10, which really is not what I would define as pain. It's more of a slight discomfort. So I don't think you should compromise the most important run of the week. Instead, let's have you cut some mileage and, more importantly, some intensity, some harder running from the previous week. So what I really want you to do is prioritize those long runs. You're getting ready for a marathon. The long run is the most important run that you're going to do during the week. So let's make sure that you are ready for that run. If you have to cut the workout, if you have to take an extra day off during the week, I think that's okay, because we're still getting in the long run. The long run is the most specific run to the marathon. It most simulates what you're going to experience on race day. So we really shouldn't compromise that super important run. So double down on strength training. You don't want to be skipping anything right now. Cut down on intensity, maybe cut down on mileage, get some extra sleep, and take it day by day and see how you feel. All right. Let's move on. Steve has a question. With no races happening until next year, what should I concentrate on? Any speed work or just base and strength? Well, Steve, I think because of the fact that we don't have any races, we have flexibility. You have flexibility to do what interests you. So I guess I would ask you, what interests you? What do you want to do? So there's a couple options that I think runners can take to maximize this time that we currently have. So number one, you could train like normal. You could pretend that you have a goal race sometime in the fall and do the training for that goal race. And then when it comes time to the race, you could either not run it, or you could potentially run a time trial or a virtual race. That's option number one. And the reason why I actually really like option one here is because, runners, we get better when we train. The training is what makes us better. Almost like studying is what makes you smarter. And then when you take the test, you're kind of just demonstrating that you know the material. Same thing with running, training, and racing. The training is what makes you better. The race is just like the test. It's just you expressing all that fitness that you've gained. So you're going to improve a lot if you just do the training. You might not have the PR or, the race experience that you're looking for, but, that's just kind of the time that we're living in right now. So that's option one. I like that. You're going to improve. You're going to really, do all the things that you should be doing in your running, everything from long runs to strength work, to strides, to workouts, recovery runs. Maybe you even put in a couple shorter tune-up races or time trials to really complete this full training picture here. So I like that. The other option is to work on your weaknesses. So if you're someone who's never run longer than 30, 35 miles a week, then maybe your weakness is the ability to run higher mileage. If you've never run faster than 23 minutes in the 5K, maybe your weakness is speed. So you do a little bit more speed work. Maybe you've never done any trail running, so you could start doing more trail running right now. So the do something new or work on your weaknesses approach is another good one because, work on your weaknesses I think is always a good thing as an athlete. And doing something new like trail running, maybe, you experiment with a new form of training, whether that's high mileage, whether that's a more intense training program, whether you're trying something new like finally being consistent with strength training or something like that. This is really going to keep your motivation and drive to train really high. And I think you're probably going to come out of that a better runner because you've just been doing new things, gaining fitness in different ways. So I really like that. Now, if you're injured very frequently, the thing that I would encourage you to do is just to get really consistent with strength training and also, maybe just learn more about the sport of running. Pick up a training book or two. You're doing a great job here in Team Strength Running because we have these opportunities for you just to learn more about the sport. And you guys all know, I say it all the time, that knowledge is a competitive advantage. The more you know about running, the better training decisions you're going to make, the fewer mistakes you're going to make, and you're just much better able to optimize that training. So, okay. So I hope that's helpful for you, Steve, as you plan your training. A couple other things I want to point you to are, let's see, I did a podcast episode exactly on this question back in, I think it was April. So let's see. Episode 131, published on March 19th. My spring race is canceled. Now what? So I go into a couple more details on what you could potentially do now that, not just spring races, but all races are canceled here. Okay, let's see. I'm going to move on to Drakena. Hey, Drakena. Apologies if I'm not getting your name right. I'm kind of basing it off of the type of plant, which I have several around me of Drakenas. Beautiful name. My son, 19 years old, is a new runner. He swam in high school. He hurt his ankles running on the beach about 6 weeks ago and couldn't run for a few weeks. He now is running again, but says his ankles still hurt a little when he runs. How does he strengthen his ankles? His pain is about a 2, also has some numb feet after mile 2 or 3. So I guess my first question would be what do you mean by ankle? Is this a joint pain? Is this the Achilles? Is this another tendon that's around the ankle? I mean, the ankle is a huge joint. Where more specifically is that ankle pain? So with that said, a couple things that do strengthen the ankles. Anything that you do barefoot is really great with ankle strengthening. So if you're doing some body weight strength routines at home, I know that we have a lot of different strength, core, and dynamic warm-up routines in our library, in the members area for the team. Do those barefoot. That's one fairly easy way to get in some extra ankle strength. The other thing is you could do more specific ankle exercises, things like dorsiflexing your ankle, just moving it in a bunch of different directions, doing counterclockwise and clockwise ankle rotations. Calf raises and eccentric calf drops are great ways to build strength around the ankle joint. And then once your son is healthy, once he's not experiencing any pain, then, he can do a little bit of barefoot running, something like 4 or so barefoot strides at the end of an easy run, or finishing up an easy run with maybe 1 to 5 minutes of very easy barefoot running on some, clear grass or synthetic turf field. That's another great way to build up some ankle strength, but it's a little bit more challenging, and it does require your son to be healthy before he does that. All right, let's see. I'm having so much fun here, guys. I don't normally do Facebook Lives, but is this more helpful for you than our regularly scheduled coaches chats? I'm just curious. If you want me to do these instead, I could do these much more frequently. So that's just an option. One of the things I say all the time is that the team is your team. So if there's something you'd like to see, maybe something that we do you'd like to see done a little differently, just let me know. I can't necessarily accommodate every request, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for your son, Drakena. Right now, just focus on strength and easy running, until that pain subsides. But it's only about a 2, so that's not so bad. Okay, so let's see. Jim has a question about IT band syndrome. He says a lot of ITB injuries are centered around the knees, but I've been hurting in the upper part near the hips. Is this common, or am I misunderstanding the cause? So with the clarification that I am not a doctor, nor do I play one on the internet, it is somewhat rare for IT band injuries to present with pain at the hip. It's almost always at the knee. That's just kind of where the rubbing is much more likely to take place, is right at the insertion point next to, or on the lateral side of your knee rather. So if you're hurting in the up near the hips, which is interesting, Jim, that was actually bothering me today on my bike ride. I wouldn't necessarily think that was your IT band. I might think that was more your hip, or an area of your glute muscle complex. Maybe your glute med, if it's up really high, or it could be your hip flexor. I'm not exactly sure where it is around there. I'm just a little hesitant to even call it IT band syndrome if you don't have pain at the outside of the knee. Okay. And if you have any more details that you could share with me, Jim, so I could give you some more specifics on guidance, I'd be happy to help there too. Okay, this one is from Jason. Hello, fellow Jason. Today's a lot of coffee day. Jason says, training is going well. I've gone from about 30 miles a week to 75 a week. Oh my goodness. I'm doing a virtual marathon in 5 weeks. I feel my best ever. Never realized that running more miles has such an impact. I've been saying it for years. Run higher mileage, you're going to get faster. I love it. After this marathon, I want to do another marathon in April of 2021. How do I get from 355 to 325? Is it possible in that time frame? I've been running 3 years and gone from 300 pounds, oh my goodness, to 210 pounds. Can lose another 20 pounds. What should be my key focus now? Wow, Jason, First of all, you have experienced such amazing progress with your running. It sounds like you've already run a 3:55 marathon. So this upcoming marathon that you have in a couple weeks it sounds awesome. It sounds like it's a really good opportunity for you to improve on that 3:55. I'm just curious to see how much you improve on that, because typically when runners are running 75 miles a week, they start getting pretty competitive. It's one of those mileage levels that really allows your body to express your endurance and that kind of fitness much more strongly. So is it possible? Yes, especially because you've only been running for 3 years. You've lost a lot of weight. I mean, that's just incredible. And so, I think the rate of improvement, that rate of progress is going to still be fairly high at this point in your running career, which is very encouraging. It's positive. It's very, you should be very optimistic, Jason. I'm excited for you. So how do you go from 3:55 to 3:25? Well, it's really just training. Keep doing the training that is good for the marathon. And, I can't really say like how much improvement is possible in a certain time period, because for some runners, they might work years to improve by a couple minutes in the marathon if they're very close to their physiological potential. Now, other runners who are not close to their physiological potential can improve very quickly, and they can take enormous chunks of time, especially in long races like the marathon, off from race to race to race. I think you're more in that latter category. You have been running for 15 years. You used to be 300 pounds, and now you've lost almost a third of yourself. I mean, you're just, this is incredible. So I think you're going to keep improving pretty quickly. One of the things that I would encourage you to do after your marathon, you may not have time, but let me just see. If your goal is to run 3:25 in the marathon, one of the best ways to improve, Jason, is to run other races. If you want to run a 3:25 marathon, you almost have to run certain times in other races. These are equivalent performances. So a 3:25 is 7:49 per mile. It's fairly competitive. At age 50 or so, I think you are. That's going to qualify you for Boston. Now, if you want to hit that kind of a time, you also need to be capable of running a half marathon in about 96 or 97 minutes. So I would set that as a goal for yourself. I also think you should try to run, maybe about 43 flat in the 10K and under 21 minutes in the 5K. Those times, I think, are equivalent to the 3:25 marathon. So you got to get fast in those other events, in addition to building all that endurance. And with your ability to run more than 10 miles a day on average during the week, I think the endurance is going to come. So, certainly get back to that mileage level after this marathon. Take about a week off, a couple really easy weeks, but after that, start building again and get back up to 60 plus, with those peak weeks being around 75 or 80. And I think you're just going to continue to gain endurance just through that high volume, and then work on getting some of your other race times down. And I think that's going to be a good approach for you to keep improving.